In an EY survey of 821 senior executives, 40% of whom were female, 90% of the women sampled had played sports either at primary or secondary school or during university or other education. Among women currently holding a C-suite position, this proportion rose to 96%. So that's some stark stats there, particularly for the gender equality discussion.
Let's listen. Hold on. He said 90% of women have played primary or secondary school. Mate, calm down. Everyone plays sports around then.
I mean... Welcome to the Banjo Pod, everyone. The pod for leveling up in your careers, relationships, parenthood, and just life and everything else that comes with it. I'm Kevin. Got Hubert and Ash with us. Ash, welcome back from Bali.
Thank you, mate.
How was it, Ash? I've got a question, Ash. We went with the guys. Perfect guys trip. Was it the equivalent for families? Do you think you could still make the most of it with two young kids like you did?
You can absolutely make the most of it. Traveling with two kids, 2.5 years old and 9 months at the time. It is challenging.
How was the flight there? You were saying it was 6 hours? 7 hours?
6 hours. 6 hours. Yeah. But you get to the airport sort of 2 to 3 hours beforehand. Then you got to make sure they're all fed and on the right mend on the plane. So look, I think overall it was really good. We flew with Virgin Airlines.
Yeah.
They have no screens.
Oh
Go figure.
Gosh.
Go figure, right? So
for an international flight,
international flights, no screens there and back, so no screens. But they do allow for some apps, so you can download something, whatever. So
did you have it like your iPad?
Yeah, I had the iPad for some of it. Yeah, so downloaded some Netflix shows beforehand.
Yeah,
but we tried to organise it to make sure it was around their sleep time, the flights, so we could sort of utilise that a bit. So especially on the way back. We almost flew midnight from Bali. Yeah. And so the kids were just sort of worn out by then. So, way smarter than keeping them like when they're at their full peak trying to run around and do all that sort of stuff. But yeah, really good.
How did it go with, Braden's 3 now? 2?
It'll be 3 in August.
Yeah. Yep. How did he sleep on the seat? Like just sitting up, or is there a sideways with you guys? Yeah,
he just pretty much like he needs a seat now. Yeah. So it was just lift up the armrest and then he just sort of tag on your lap and But for someone who's travelled so much, I found that sleep to be the most unco I've ever been in my whole life. I ended up putting my tray table down, putting it back on top, and then just crashing directly on top. But it's good fun.
Yeah,
good fun.
And features of Bali. So you stayed in a resort.
Hard Rock in Kuta, so that was good. It's all musical stuff right there. So they had the live bands. Good food, lots of pools and water activities, and then stayed at.
You right there?
He's yawning at my holiday. Yeah, and then we went up to a safari lodge. Yeah. So that was cool. So imagine you're inside a zoo. So you open up your balcony doors and there's zebras 10 meters away and they give you carrots so you can chuck carrots at the zebras. So that was pretty cool. So you saw zebras, rhinos and giraffes in that thing and you get to go inside the enclosure. So yeah.
That seems good, man.
That was cool. And then did Ubud right at the end. So
you did what?
Ubud is another little town.
Oh, Ubud,
so about another hour. And so Neely got to do all the Instagram swings and whatnot. And we did water rafting, so that was pretty cool. So down a little,
What were the kids doing when you were doing all this?
With my parents. So, if you're going to travel with kids...
did your parents come as well?
Yeah, mate, we need babysitters.
That's where I was angling. I was like, where's...
Yeah. So you can babysitters in Bali are really good. A lot of them have good recommendations, but we just took our parents. Yeah. So, yeah. Nice. Made it really worthwhile, so... Yeah.
Awesome, man. Good to have you back.
Thank you, mate.
Hubert, cricket 10-year premiership reunion on, last Sunday. Cracker of a day.
Oh, yeah, mate. Awesome day. And, I think credit to you for helping organise that.
Credit to the boys, mate.
No, it was a great trip, great night, sort of, celebrating 10 years since we won our first premiership with this group of boys. Great night. We started at the Winter Leagues Club. You present a bit of a little presentation of what the season was like. I've forgotten a lot of them. I remember the good part of the season, but I didn't forget little bits happened here and there. So it was nice to sort of did a recap of everything that happened during that season. Brought back a lot of good memories, and the main thing is, I think it's been a while since all the boys have been together. So yeah, I really enjoyed seeing everyone together again, and it just felt like straight away everyone just clicked again. It felt like we were back on the cricket field again, and just had all the banter straight away there, and yeah, it's good fun, good night. I enjoyed it. Some
whispers of bringing the team back, but I think we're probably a year or so away from.
Yeah, I think that's a while away, but it's still, there's still hope that all the boys still keen, to have another round. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, cracker of a celebration. Probably the best seats I've ever sat in to watch a footy game as well. I think enjoyed hearing all the players and stuff on the side, and just being a part of the action, which was great.
And the best thing was the Eels won. Go the Eels.
Yeah, it was looking like they weren't gonna, but it was good.
Pulled it off.
Yeah.
Well done.
Go the Eels.
You reckon premiers, mate?
No chance.
Yeah, great to see that. I guess the whole team clicking in, which brings me to our first topic for today, is around team sports. So I want to show you guys something, which is from the podcast of, I don't know if you guys have watched the Mark Burris podcast with Matty Johns. The more I listen to Matty Johns, actually, he's such a smart dude.
Dude, that guy's memory is next level. He just recalls anything.
Yeah.
So I watched just off topic. So I just watched one of his episodes by himself.
Yeah.
I think with his boy
Cooper. Backstage.
And then I watched the Boris one before. I was like, this guy. I did not, ever think of him as a book smart, intelligent sort of someone that can recall stuff. As quickly as he could. So yeah. It was nuts.
I think there's two things as well. Like he does that memory recall really well, but he also over prepares from what it sounds like, which they talk about in this podcast. But it just goes to show, to be at the top of your game, what he's needed to do to get there.
And not just that, I think he's just a great entertainer as well. Like he'll make a story, any story, present it so well that it just grabs you and you want to listen to it. I enjoy listening to what Matty John speaks. So
yeah,
the Matty John show is a great show, and these podcasts are really good as well.
Yeah, look. Play this video, you guys watch it, and then we'll hear your thoughts after that around team sports.
We were really social too.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that show, they were amazed in there at Triple M. They said, we can't believe we've got a breakfast show here where everybody gets on, everyone likes each other, and it's sustained for so long. And I think the reason, Mark, is, and you'd have seen it with The Apprentice, and we see it with a lot of reality shows, is the people who play professional sport, professional team sport, learn to suppress their own needs for the betterment of the team. You see that's why Sammy Burgess was so good in SAS. You learn to coexist with people around you, and just get on with the job. And that was the case with the grill team at Triple M. And we get
all right. That's about where they get to, but I think it's a great point. He talks about this actually in a couple of other episodes around team environments and team sports, but it made me think about, I just started thinking back to people that I've worked with, and people that I thought sometimes were very selfish with how they worked, and if they've played sports and stuff in the background. And I try to kind of put two and two together, and the question here is, do you have a distinct advantage having played team sports in corporate environments after a certain level or age? So take out of consideration, I think for the first potentially 6 to 8 years of your career, everyone's kind of an individual contributor where you're, just trying to make a name for yourselves. Everyone's just trying to put their head down and do your own work or do potentially task-based work. After a certain point, then you're starting to collaborate with people around you. You're starting to collaborate with other peers, other leaders, managing up, managing down, and that's when these qualities start to come out. So I wanted to see your guys' thoughts on team sports and how that enables corporate environments, or maybe does it not enable your performance in corporate environments?
Go on, Hubert. I'll let you talk first.
Hubert, you've played a couple of team sports.
You've led some as well, mate. So.
Yeah. And I mean, team sports, I think for any kid, I think it's very important in that you develop that skill where you're dealing with a lot of different personalities, and potentially can be high stress environments where it can be very, very competitive. it's where you want to be. You want to be in a point where you're under pressure, you're stressed, yet you still got a goal, and that's to win. And to me, that sort of sets you up for later on in life when you come to work environment where, you know, it is going to be stressful. It is going to be a lot of pressure put on you. And you should have developed that skills as, you know, while you're playing sports, to how to deal with it. You play an instinct, you play with people around you, you sort of work together. And there's a difference between playing individual sports, team sports. Where team sports, like what Matty Jones was saying there, was like, you know, you learn to sort of sacrifice to get the better of the team. So, you know, you all have a common goal, and you want, and, you know, when we used to play cricket, I used to always tell you as well, I used to be like, you're only as good as the weakest guy in your team. So it's up to you guys to train that weakest person to be just as good as everyone else. And the stronger the team is, man, you're much better chance of winning. And that's what I've always focused on, saying, you got a strong team, got a common goal. No matter what people throw at you, if you stick together strong, you'll work a way out of it. And I think that's sort of, you know, works really well in the sports environment, and works really well in the corporate environment as well.
Have you worked retail jobs?
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess a question, and maybe you can talk to this a bit more because both of us haven't, is do retail jobs, or like even working in hospitality at that young age, give you the same, I guess, learnings as working in a team sport? Because it's very, you know, in those jobs, you kind of just have to do anything and everything that's thrown at you.
Yeah. So, yeah, a bit of that, absolutely. So yeah, you're employed pretty young. You're learning the ropes, but you also got to fit in to an organisation, right? So similar to the sporting analogy that you're getting there. I think probably the difference is, if you don't like it, you can always leave, right? Whereas you don't, like, you know, initially you don't have a sense of belonging to something. Whereas I think with the sports environment, if you're attached, you play for a couple of seasons, that's when you have that sense of belonging, right? So yeah, I think that's going to be critical. The main points are going to be around, you know, when you're young, you're trying to fit in, you're happy to pull your weight to make sure the job gets done, right? So it becomes more critical when in a retail environment. So let's say the three of us are working, like we're all scheduled for Sunday, and then you call in sick. Then you and me, there is no other, you know, person on the roster. We just got to pull the slack together and cover that guy's shift. That's just called in sick. That's when it becomes important, because your workload just increased by 50%. And that's where it becomes important just to work as a unit and just get stuff done. Your priority is not, mate, that guy's pulled a sickie, I'm going to pull a sickie too, or I'm going to work less. It's going to be like, we just need to work harder and get this thing done because we don't have the support today. So I think that's where it really sticks out.
Yeah. Interesting thought. Do you think, Ash, you've obviously done all these different courses like MBA and company directors course and things like that. Do you think there's a key trait in team sports or people that have been a part of team environments that you're seeing at those higher levels?
Interestingly enough, it's probably a bit different higher up. So where team sports come in really handy, I think, is your middle ops managers, people who execute stuff for you. So, you know, if I talk your C-level down, they can all be individual contributors in my view. But if they have a vision to set and they need someone to execute, I'd be going for the sports captain in that case, because they can, you know, round up the people, work with everyone, get it, you know, in line for the company's vision, et cetera, et cetera. And they're the really good people to, you know, work with. So there's definitely a place for it. Does it belong in the, you know, in the board? Probably not. Does it belong, you know, where you need to execute things and deliver on a strategy? Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think as you work up through the ranks though, it depends on where you sort of slot in and at what point in time. So if you're a natural person that's actually evolved within the company, you're going to need to learn how to talk to everyone at different levels, how to get the best out of everyone. That's a really cool skill set. But if you're coming in, you know, as an owner, once again, very different. And that depends on the size of the company as well, right? If it's not a family business, it could be quite a large company. You know, you could come from a consulting background. You just want the best. You don't want to see, hey, let's collaborate and try to figure this stuff out. It's like, this is best class. We're going to do that. Someone go and execute that for me.
Yeah. I think of people that I've seen who have been in team sports or who are in corporate environments as well, they've got a greater sense of ownership from what I see. So they buy into team values and vision, and they're more likely to defend team and own team responsibility. I'm not saying it's true for everyone, but people that I've worked with, they've really taken ownership of, the team brand as an example. Whereas people that don't care as much about that, they're more about themselves. And I'm not saying that's wrong as well, because sometimes you do need to be very self-focused in a team that's terrible in order to, show yourself and show your true colors in your workplace. So that's a particular quality that I've seen. There's a bunch of research in America, actually, when I was looking at this. So I want to read this to you guys and maybe get your thoughts on it. So stats. So these are people that have played team sports in their corporate teams. They're more likely to recognize if their team is committed to team success. They're more likely to recognize if their team is constantly learning and getting better. More likely to recognize individual strengths being utilized in the team. More likely to consistently exceed team goals. So there's a bunch of different stats here that basically say that people who play in team sports are more intuitively likely to recognize if their work team is committed to success, exceed goals, and adaptable to change. And if not, have the capability to help drive that within a team. So this is from a consulting company. The other piece of the other stat is in that senior levels, Ash. It says for companies and countries that are serious about wanting to advance more women into leadership roles, you can't underestimate the role of sport in closing the gender gap. In an EY survey of 821 senior executives, 40% of whom were female, 90% of the women sampled had played sports either at primary or secondary school or during university or other education. Among women currently holding a C-suite position, this proportion rose to 96%. So that's some stark stats there, particularly for the gender equality discussion.
Let's listen. Hold on. You said 90% of women have played primary or secondary school. Mate, calm down. Everyone plays sports around then.
I mean,
it's a whole
team. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty rough stat. You're like, so all people play sports. Yeah, I mean, like, everyone gets exposed to it, right? So it's about what you learn from it, how you contribute to it. Interesting, when you're playing sports in primary and secondary school, you get forced into things you don't usually like, right? So you may come out. I'm not a particularly talented, batsman. Was I forced to bat when I was playing cricket? Yeah, absolutely. Right? Did I suck? Yes.
But you're still exposed to the team environment.
Yeah. Still, yeah. But then, I had to play to my strengths, right? But then it also depended on, things like your coach, what their vision was, what they wanted out of you, right? So what I think in teams, the dangerous part is where you think everyone's an all-rounder and then you try using someone as an all-rounder, use them for the wrong purpose and burn someone else out, right? So people knew I was a bowler at the time. They got me opening bowling. Makes sense. They didn't get me opening batting because that'd be the worst, right? But it was just figuring out what your strengths were and then utilizing that. I feel like corporate environments, it's like, hey, you've got some sort of really good skill. We're going to completely leverage that and apply you randomly and poorly to something. And the team environment huddle, everyone get on the same page. Your own values sometimes won't align to what the team are actually trying to do, but in that person's head who's trying to, collaborate everyone, it's like, this makes perfect sense. They're none the wiser to see that.
But I guess if you've played in a team sport, you're more likely to diplomatically call that out too, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yeah, because it depends on your personality too, but I reckon in team environments, in sports, if you're not liking the way something is done, because in most sports anyway, right, there's this one in, all in kind of mentality. So anyone can put their hand up and say, I don't think that's right. I don't know if that completely translates, particularly if you're sitting there in front of, Elon Musk and you disagree with him. It's hard to call him out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's probably something that I've seen in people that could potentially be a valuable trait.
You've seen active pushback within sort of corporate environments work successfully? Because I've heard about this, but really, to be fair, within my team, I'm going to say I've created it, but I've been very open with the team saying I don't expect whatever we've given you to continue. So I said, go and try it. If it fails, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. But then I've sort of instilled that, right? So go and give it a shot.
Yeah.
But in a lot of places, it's no, don't do that because that's going to take some resources away. Stick by whatever we told you. Don't fail. We don't have time to fail. Just do whatever we're telling you. So it's every time you open your mouth and go, hey, look, that actually doesn't make sense. It's no, we've already agreed to this.
Yeah.
Someone's already made the shots. You just execute.
Yeah, I think corporate pushback, and you can talk about this as well, Hubert. When I used to do this in my teams, it's firstly, it's getting people to identify that there's a problem. But in my teams, I don't like people just bringing problems to meetings or conversations. If they bring a problem, I want them to find a potential way that they can solve that problem. Or if they need my help in solving it, do the work so then I can provide my input. And that's the professional kind of growth in people. Because I used to be like that when I was younger. You know, I'd just be talking about problems to my boss. And then the older I got, I was like, actually, he doesn't need me to bring in problems. He probably knows all of this already. He needs me to solve stuff for him. And, you know, that's how you start going up and elevating what you're doing. What are you going to say?
No, I was going to say, like, you see some of those sports like in the footy and cricket field where two players are just going at each other. It looks pretty bad on TV. But in my head, I'm thinking that's a great environment that they're able to speak to each other.
Yeah.
Say what's on their head. And, you know, I'm sure after the game, they're mates again, you know. And that to me shows that the culture is there, is good in that you're able to speak openly, freely, and just deal with the issue straight then and there instead of trying to tip your toe around the issue. And in the workplace, I think the exact same thing where, you know, in the same with like my work environment as well. Like, you know, my boss is like a pretty sports, you know, he grew up playing sports as well, and we got that relationship where it's like, just correct me. Don't try to tip your toe over the issue. Just tell me the issue, deal with it, let's move on. You know, and when you got that environment. One, you're not wasting time, and two, you solve the issue very quickly as well. And I think that's, to me, because we both had that sports background where it's like, it just works so much easier. We deal with the issue quickly, move on, and I think it's a much more healthy environment.
So I've dealt with teams where it's not as clear, right? So I agree. Like I'm very much like, if something doesn't work, just tell me and I'll fix it, right? Don't come back to me 6 months later down the track and be like, oh, by the way, that thing didn't work, right? I'm like, and I've told higher up people, and I've told my team as well, right? So I've gone both ways, going, just be open, right? And if you need to take me to a room and just be brutally honest, that's fine. That's the only way I'm going to personally grow as well. But then you come to a time where, if I'm dealing with a team, I can't actually just directly tell them. I've got a tippy toe around that subject as well. And I was like, this is pure madness for me, right? Like proper, because you're just like, there's things you need to fix. But there wasn't an acknowledgement of things that were broken. So you're just sort of dealing with a rock and a hard place, right? And so you're having to then have this song and dance around how do you fix something that is somewhat now out of your control. So it's definitely challenging. You know, like if you stick to a sports sort of environment, if you've got the wrong people for the wrong task in that particular, you know, field or whatever sport it is, what do you do then? You can't just drop them if that's the only lot you've got. So what do you end up doing? Redrawing something back on the whiteboard, going, come on team, let's get it together. And then Kevin comes out with a motivational talk or Wolf of Wall Street. Like, what happens, right? Like, I think sports work great when everyone is aligned and you have a few strugglers. That's fine, because generally the team can carry your weight. When you got majority strugglers and you got a few team environment like people, that's when the power dynamic completely changes, I think.
Yeah. And why we're talking about this is because, you know, we're the pod about leveling up in careers, life, adulthood, and we've all got kids now. So when we're thinking about equipping our kids to make the best decisions and be the best, you know, men or women as they turn 18 onwards, would you see team sports as a crucial part of their development leading into that? We obviously, like before this conversation, I love to put them in a team sport because I just think it's great to keep them fit. You know, gives them an activity on the weekends. But do you see now this as a key part of their personal development?
I think so. I think it's good to, you know, get out of your comfort zones, be either surrounded by people you know or don't know, and then figure out how to, you know, align yourselves to, you know, beat a competitor. I think it's really critical skills to have, you know. And then within your team, you've got to also then communicate. Everyone's got different communication styles. You've still got the one goal, but you know, you're chatting to different people. You're trying to tell people how to sort of coordinate different actions. You got a coach that's, you know, shouting at you. That's all. You know, you got parents that are judging you. You've got everything, right? So it's, for a little kid, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's about just letting them have fun, making the errors, and then learning from that, and sort of, you know, in a positive way, sort of coming back and say, what things worked, what things didn't. How do we continue to grow? So
yeah.
See, I just think there needs to be a mix of both team and individual as well. Like growing up, I played cricket, soccer, all that stuff, but I also played tennis as well, where it's like you're on the court by yourself. I think that teaches you something as well. Was like in a team environment, you can fall into the thing where you can hide behind your team as well, and you just like rely on teammates to do everything as well. Whereas on the tennis court, it's just you and yourself talking to each other, and you just got to deal with the issue right in front of you. Like you got nowhere to hide, and that sort of it's another level of stress, another sort of skill you can learn where you have to be disciplined, you have to get yourself ready for it because you got no one else to rely on. Whereas in team environment, you want to do your best for your team, but at the same time, you might have a superstar in your team where it's like, I'll just hide by him, he's going to do the work anyway. So I think a mix of both is also important. Like to your point as well, like come to C-suite level, the individual sports are kind of important there as well, where you have to be ready as well. You have to be disciplined, like skillful. The buck's on top of you. You got no one else to rely on. You got no one else to blame. It's just you. And I think for my son, I'm going to try and mix a bit of both individual as well as team. So, he gets both skill sets.
I think what's important as well is not everyone is cut out to be in a team too. Like some personalities will just be very individual. Who's that? There's a tennis player. I can't remember his name. Basically, he was really good at all sports, but he was sick of getting let down by his team in every sport he played. So he's like, I'm just going to pick a sport where I can just, it's all up to me to win. And so he picked it up, and now he's like, I feel like it's Djokovic. It's someone really famous that did that. And the other one is HubSpot's CTO, Damesh. I don't know if you guys have heard about him. Super smart dude, created HubSpot, but doesn't lead anyone because he hates leading. He hates managing teams. He knows he's just I just do stuff myself and it's really good. I'm going to get all the leadership and all the management and stuff to someone else because they work better in teams. So just being self-aware about that as well, and having people around you or your, parents for your kids, have that around you as well is really good.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like being because I've told my team as well, like you can either go down the sort of management path or the technical path. Both are valid. I'm not going to push you to which one. And actually I've got two, IT switched on guys, both want to be down the technical path. Absolutely valid.
Yeah.
Why would I push them down the people managing path then, right? So I'm like, let's go down that strength, but you got to be the best of that. So like, what do you need? What do you need? Is it new technology? Is it new whatever skill sets? Let's get that done. So,
yeah.
But have you heard that saying where they said, if you want to, I don't know if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this could be important for our viewers.
I'm going to correct you right now.
Yeah, but because I've heard that saying. I don't know if you heard it, but like where you're making money when you start managing people. Have you heard that sort of saying?
Yes, but it's false.
False. Okay.
Because no. You know why I say that? I worked for an engineering company, right? Yeah. Once again, global, in the UK. Two types of people.
They don't call him Mr. Worldwide for nothing.
No, that's right. Yeah. Put all that. But in the engineering world, similar, right? You can go down sort of the technical engineer. We can go down the people managing path and go slightly commercial. So, did one pay more than the other? The answer was no. Simple, right? I could see the financials. So, it wasn't one, like, initially it seemed like the people managing had an earlier head start with stuff. But actually, when it comes down to building a project, you're not going to go, hey, how many people can you manage? You're going to be like, I need the expert to come in and make sure this room is fireproof and the lighting's good and that stuff. So that you get the technical people. And those technical people end up just working alongside some people manager. But they do their job, they do it well, and they get out because that's what they're good at. So, like I saw it, and they both were valid. Both streams ended up being effectively the global CEO of the companies as well. So every 8 years you had to switch. But it wasn't always the people manager that would get that role. It was the super technical ones because they respected that. So it depends on the organization. Yeah.
All right. Fair.
Crack, well, there you go. Team sports, ladies and gentlemen, if you're struggling to interact in corporate environments, sign yourself up for a team sport on the weekend. If you've got kids,
play some golf.
Just took me back to a video.
Oh, yeah.
Play some golf. Play some golf. Get a dartboard.
Yeah.
Play tennis.
Actually, that's a great point as well. Golf, tennis, great networking. Kind of can't play cricket with someone on the weekend unless you take them to the nets. But sign your kids up for team sports, recognize their skills and their traits early, and help them, push them in that direction. we have a bit of YouTube chivalry to chat about. So when you guys walk through a door and someone's walking behind you, what do? Do you just let the door go and you keep walking through?
It's that awkward, like, depends how far behind they are.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like, they're just far enough and it's awkward for you, so you just hold it anyway, and then they're like, oh, crap, now I got to run.
Yeah. I love doing that to people. It's always the awkward run.
But you hold the door open, right? Because it's the chivalrous thing to do.
Absolutely.
But YouTube chivalry is very similar but slightly different, because all YouTube chivalry is liking, subscribing, and even commenting your thoughts on a video. So that's what we're all here about. We're trying to encourage chivalrous behavior, and we want you guys to be a part of this YouTube chivalry movement by liking and subscribing and commenting on this video. Thank you for listening, ladies and gents. The Banjo Pod with Kevin, Ash, and Hubert. See you next time.